To the podcast, hablemos de lo nuevo. For the G's, by the G's, ¿qué pasa en el terreno? Vienen jugadores y se van, traiga lo nuevo, a huevo. Doesn't matter where you from, Salvador, Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua. Todo mi latino, come and listen for an hour. TikTok, que traemos lo que quiere, todo lo que pasa dentro y fuera de las redes. Really? You don't know what it is. Reportamos con la lupa what we see at the digs. En las buenas y en las malas yo diré la verdad. Si cometen un error o tienen habilidad, la calidad del rival cuando viene a jugar. Facts. Yo no me muerdo la lengua. Got love for the crest in the city I came from. Los campeones de campeones y con copas mi race. No empezamos, empurgamos. Soy la voz de LA One. Soy la voz de LA One. Love. Yeah.
Welcome back to La Cuna Galaxiana, a podcast made with love for all you LA Galaxy fans and La Cuna Galaxians. I'm Rob Jalon, one of your co-hosts here. As always, you can find my written work at Last Word on Sports, and you can find me on the socials at El Escudero de LA. And that's, of course, for all our audio listeners, because now you guys should be catching this on our YouTube channel. Today, we'll preview the Galaxy's home opener on February 25th against Inter Miami with our special guest, La Leyenda y el Presidente, Fernando Fiore. But before we do, let me bring back to you, as always, my co-host, the one and only, El Gitano Perdido, El Yerno Guapo, El Futuro Papá de Tobago, Ananda Kirana. ¿Cómo te sientes, papá? How's that jet lag? How's Singapore?
Oh man, well, estoy bien, papa. But yeah, like Robert just spilled the beans there. So I'm on the other side of the world. I am 16 hours officially ahead of most of y'all if you're listening to this on Pacific Standard Time. But yeah, no, I'm good, man. You know, got my morning fuel. Jet lag still hitting me, but you know what? We make time for everything that we love in life, right? So that would be this podcast as well. So hey, let's do it, man. And we've got a slamming show today. Can't wait. I know, we posted about this on the Twitter and folks are excited about this as we are as well. So Robert, just a heads up, just make sure you don't cry this episode. All right. Just letting you know. And, and it will be good.
You know, I cry. You're asking me something near impossible right now. Like, you know, I cry, you know, I do that.
Yeah. But anyways, so I know we've got a lot to get to. So I'm going to go to the housekeeping right away because we got a lot of news, man. Just like all of a sudden, like I fell asleep and then just news dropped like overnight. Exactly. Right. And that always happens, right? Drop it like it's hot. But anyways, housekeeping. So you guys can always follow me, block me, or stalk me at Ananda. You guys can always find us on all of your socials at La Cuna Galaxiana. Of course, Robert had just mentioned we have a YouTube channel now. So follow us on both audio and video now. YouTube.com/ at La Cuna Galaxiana. And then you can find us La Cuna Galaxiana on Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, if you're into that whole thing.
MySpace, all of it.
Exactly, all that stuff. Vine. Pero Roberto, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, like I gotta do this. Speaking of dropping, right? Buenos días, tardes o noches. Es muy buenos días para mí. Early in the morning, straight from the other side of the world, but you know how it is. Y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de La Cuna Galaxiana. No es La Cunita esta vez, es La Cuna full, total. Y vámonos, Roberto, because we got a lot of stuff to go through, man.
Yeah, it's a full pod today. It's a preview pod. We got a special guest, like we said at the top of the show. But really quick, and I did mention we got that YouTube channel. It takes 2 seconds. Go subscribe. You'll stay up to like the latest minute with special guests like Fernando Fiore. We do have a special guest for our San Jose preview coming up next week as well. So that's where you're going to catch it on our YouTube channel. You guys know what it is, youtube.com/at La Cuna Galaxiana. And you know what? We are going to have a live stream reaction for the Inter Miami match, a post game. Of course, catch us when we're hot, drop it like it's hot. And we're going to go on Monday at 7 p.m. Right before your favorite podcast, Corner of the Galaxy, with the Podfather, of course, who is, really quick shout out to them. They're putting some refreshers on season 16, so make sure and stay tuned to them. Hopefully, this humble little pod could be a nice little lead in for that one. But like Ananda said, we do have a bunch of shout outs and announcements to get through. And you know what? We want to do all of them their due diligence and show some love to everybody that we need to. First one is one that we already kind of shouted out on this pod. The G at our Jess, her home burned down. So that's one of those things that like no one really can fathom. Like I mean, I can't even imagine what that's like, just losing everything. So her people have set up a GoFundMe. Ananda's flashing that on the screen right now. If you're so inclined, I know this Galaxy community gets behind their own, so I know you guys are going to get out there and help at our Jess. Show that love, just like you guys showed, my family, of course. Quick update on Sefi. She is out of surgery. She's in post-op. She's in recovery. It's a long road back, but with your love, with your help, she's gonna make it. And you know what? Now we're on to game time. So wow, if you aren't one of the lucky 28,000+ that are going to be at this game, because it's mad expensive, Absolution Brewing has you. They have a watch party going on, and so if you didn't score a ticket to Sunday's game, you can go check out Absolution Brewing this Sunday for their Galaxy watch party. Of course, all G's are welcome, so make sure to make it down there if you're not going to the game and be together with your community. Some more Absolution Brewing. They'll be hosting a photo/art gallery featuring members of the G's community on 3/10, that's March 10th. Some of your favorites are going to be showing their pieces as well, selling prints, and they'll be having a special pop-up shop with items from a new collection. So, we got Granny Mayo, who's been a guest on this show. You got Baby G's 96. You got LA Galaxy on Film, who we've met at the stadium, and super nice cat. Of course, the homie Luis Vela. You know what? He's been out there for a cool minute, and he has amazing stuff. So, we got Oscar Rodriguez Zapata, and of course, Alyssa Diaz, who's always in 121. So shots by Alyssa Lawrence. So, you know what? Go ahead and check out that event on 3/10. If you are going to the match, the Galaxy are advising you get there early. You want to get there early. Don't be typical LA traffic and typical LA peeps and get there late. You're not going to be making an entrance. You're going to miss it. So Galaxy saying if you're not there by 3:30, you're going to miss some events, like international DJ Alesso, like LA's own dirty reggae band Agrolites. They're going to be in the Lars tailgate. And so this has been a big week as well in the lead up to the match, because the Galaxy have had several fan events all over the city, including flash tattoos in Pasadena, Pescador paint parties, and meet and greets. Today, you have a couple of G's out and about ready to meet you. J-Mac and Cosmo are going to be at Connecta in Fountain Valley, and Johnny Perez will be at Nikki Sports in Pasadena. Hit up the Galaxy's website for the full slate of events that are left for this week. I mean, they've already done a bunch, but you guys can catch a couple. So go ahead and hit up the website to see what else you can get into this week. And this one is, of course, a bunch of you guys already know about this one. There was already an event this month, but G's Run Club is this Saturday at 10 a.m. at the Digs, the day before the game. The game, like I said, this is the second event this month, and you know what? I didn't think I was going to be able to be there, but it looks like I'm going to be able to be there now. And you know what? Shout out to Leslie out there who petitioned for a more gentle walk / course, and so Ananda, that's what I'm going to be doing this time, so the homie Drake does not have to save my life and virtually like will me across the finish line. So I think I'm going to be doing the walk. Maybe if I have a little bit left in me, I'll do a little bit of jogging, but that's what I'm going to do. So of course, that one's put on by 1-2 Threads, by the homies, by the Ñaños there. And speaking of those cats, damn, do those fools ever miss? Like, I mean, ever? Like they put out this LA Galaxy anorak jacket, and damn it, like if my wife didn't divorce me like right now, I would have already pre-ordered, but of course I got to get clearance and stuff like that. So you know what, as soon as los puerquitos se venden, I'm copying that for sure. We have more fire gear in the world of Galaxydom. FU USA. That's F-HUEFU USA is having a pop-up shop this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight in Carson, pretty close to the digs, of course. They'll be dropping their new brand, Falta. Get more info at their Instagram page at FHUEUSA or visit their shop, fulabs.shop. That's FHUELabs.shop.
I can't wait. I can't wait for someone to clip that. Now that we're on YouTube, everyone can just clip that, and you're just a FU. Like, there you go, and it'll just be on replay. So it'll be awesome.
I can't wait for all that good stuff, man.
Love it.
Yes, that is the benefit of doing pre-recorded shows, that we're not going to be able to get away with shenanigans anymore. Dang, now I'm really going to have to watch myself before we get canceled. And with the advent of AI, ooh, Charles. But speaking of, we've already brought you, FU's offerings, and we've already brought you 1-2 threads. There's more Galaxy merch going around. Shop El Galaxy collection at SHP Naranja Dulce. They put out a really, really fresh Riqui Puig t-shirt, and of course this LA Galaxy flag. And you know what? I mean, it's great to see so many creators coming out. Not least among them, Amaze Them Pins, or at Vince AYG_. They've dropped a very, very clean pin collection called Our City of Champions that features hat clips and golf ball markers as well. The Galaxy is featured, of course, in this, and with their 2014 MLS Cup Championship. Angelino Empire at IE Galacticos has a promo code for you, ANG Empire 10 for 10% off. If you're one of the lucky few to go ahead and get this first, you'll be entered into a drawing for a jersey. So you might come up on the Angelino kit, just by picking this up. And you know what? I've seen a lot of G's out there rocking that Angelino kit. Of course, we ran into some of them at the Coachella Valley Invitational, some members of Lars, some members of, a bunch of the supporter groups. So for all of you wanting to join a supporter group, ACB and Lars will have their memberships for sale this weekend at the game. Of course, they'll be having tailgates. Pretty much the entire Victoria block will be there. Of course, Lars will be there as well. So make sure and get there and enjoy, hang out with some fellow G's. But remember, there are other smaller groups out there that aren't official supporter groups. Of course, a special hello to the homies, the homie Matthew, who's been a special guest on this pod a couple times already. They're one of the newest supporter groups on the block. So shout out to our friends at Comets SC, aka Black Galaxy Fans. And especially because they've dropped an exclusive Black History League trading card collection. Each one of these is actually hand-drawn, blood. Like, somebody took the time to sit there and draw out Kobe lovingly. In this picture, we can see that, there's a Giassi in there. I told Matthew asked, who you guys going to pick up first? And I automatically responded, Big Tank, El Tanque, I got to grab him.
Mm-hmm.
And so we know at least that there's Kobe, Giassi, and El Tanque. I wonder who else the other ones are going to be. Could be the Dos Santos brothers. It could be Ezra. It could be Robin Fraser. Who knows? But these are clean. These are hand-drawn and like the hoity-toity rich folks out there say, these are artisanal. So they are definitely worth picking up. They're going to be they're super clean. They're going to be launching their website later this week, and that's where you can purchase this 4-card pack directly. So Matthew will also have some of these cards available on game day for sale. So catch them at the Lars Tailgate this weekend if you want to be among the first to get that. And speaking of the supporter groups, a shout out to Hector and his Inland Empire group. All of my IE peoples, thank you so much for listening to this pod. Galaxy fans, go hook up with them, especially on away game days. If you're in the Inland Empire, go ahead and hook up with them at the watch parties. Again, if you're looking for a group and you haven't really found your group of Galaxy peoples yet, go say what's up to them in lot 12, lot 13 on the day of the game. Go search out these smaller groups that are coming up, that are trying to establish a community as well. And since we're talking about the Inland Empire, shout out to the IE casuals as well, out there doing their thing, representing the Galaxy in the 909 and the 951. Man, I feel like an auctioneer right now, but told y'all we had so much to get through and so much news has dropped this week. And of course, I'm really just here for Fernando. So Woo! Let's. I felt like Ric Flair
You and
right there, right
everyone, you
now.
and everyone listening, Papa. Let's. No one wants to listen
Yeah.
to us. Everyone is just listening to Fernando.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, yesterday I got to hook up and speak for a moment with the commissioner of Liga G. Shout out Mauricio, and he said it's funny that we're talking right now because I'm listening to your pod. And I was like, turn that off. Those guys are frauds.
Those guys are
Those guys are
so
frauds,
funny,
man.
so funny,
Ah,
so funny, man. Hey, I'll let you take a sip of that water, man, because I know you've been rolling through. But
woo.
hey, last thing though before the team news, right? Copa America, bro. Copa America. I mean, that's gonna be a big tournament, man.
I gotta let you know, I did cop my tickets for all 3 Ecuador
Hey,
matches. So I'm going to be dressed up in my little condor hat with my selección shirt on and repping Ecuador, man. I mean, it's honestly, like, one of the reasons my wife and I met is because I went to Copa America Centenario. She
mm.
wasn't there, but something that happened there, directly led us to meeting. And you know what? So hopefully the magic happens at this tournament as well. If you don't follow Ecuador right now, Ecuadorian football, they're kind of going through a golden moment. They have a good young squad, and you know what? They have a tough group. They're going to be with Mexico, Jamaica, and Venezuela. And man, I'm super excited. Kind of pricey, but you know what? I put some things on in the pawn shop so I could go ahead and afford it. So, geez, man, like, it's going to be a dream come true seeing Ecuador and Copa America again. Of course, if you haven't picked up your tickets, the pre-sale was today, but the official tickets go on sale on the 28th. So go ahead and look out for those tickets. There will be a new slate of tickets going on sale on the 28th. So Ananda, are you excited about any of these Copa America matches?
I mean, to be honest, man, I'm rooting for Ecuador. I'm rooting for you, Papa. I want to see you happy. You know,
Yeah.
the Galaxy have not been making you happy, nor I. But we gotta have a team to make us happy. So yeah, that'll be good, man. That'll be and like you said, they have a really young squad, the golden generation, a lot of players playing in Europe right now. So it's gonna be a fun tournament. Of course, that guy that we're gonna see this weekend is gonna be there as well as some of his teammates as well. So
Oh man, which guy?
the guy that wears number 10 on his shirt.
Yeah. You mean Riqui Puig? Of
Yeah,
course.
exactly. Of course.
Since we are in shout outs and we're talking about Ecuatorianos, let me give a shout out to Total Galaxy at LA Galaxy as well. Found out they're Ecuadorian, so shout out to them. Ñaños, Ñaño Power, and of course the Ñaño Stefan Harin. You might recognize the last name because his grandfather was the legendary announcer of the Dodgers. He and I occasionally talk, and man, super nice guy. So shout out to him. And let's go ahead and get into some LA Galaxy team news now.
Let's do it.
The ex-Galaxy defender Jorge Villafaña became PDX FC men's head coach. Congrats to him. He, of course, if you guys remember, he had that season-ending injury a couple years back, and then we really never saw him again in a Galaxy shirt. So it's good to see him back out there in a coaching capacity and doing what he loves. Welcome to a pair of young cats, 16-year-old Harbor Miller and 17-year-old Ruben Ramos Jr. They were signed to the Galaxy this week, the third and fourth youngest signings in club history. They're both from the academy, and the plan, according to the Galaxy press release, is to have them featured for G2 this year before being added to the first team in 2025. They were both singled out by Greg for big praise during the preseason, Harbor Miller actually scored his first goal in a Galaxy shirt, at least for the first team, in front of his parents at the CVI. So big moment for him. And of course, an even bigger moment this week as they get signed to their first professional contract. And as they come, as they go, the LA Galaxy have had 2 team departures this week. The first, Chris Mavinga, the LA Galaxy announced today the club has placed defender Chris Mavinga on waivers. Mavinga made 21 appearances across all competitions for the Galaxy during the 2023 campaign. Mavinga was on $496,000 in guaranteed compensation during the 2023 MLS season. At Class Trends had this to say, and I agree. I know he's going to get a lot of hate for this on the field performance. Fair. However, you can't doubt that he tried and always spoke out on social media, being one of the only people who would take responsibility for the performances. I can always respect that. Good luck, Chris. Once a G, always a G. I got to agree. I mean, he was always one of the people that would come out and talk to us and made no attempt to hide behind results or what was going on. So again, good luck, Chris. Shout out to him. Another fan favorite for a lot of you has left the club. The Galaxy announced today that the club has mutually agreed to part ways with goalkeeper Jonathan Bond. Said Will Kuntz, we would like to thank Jonathan for his commitment and contribution to the LA Galaxy during his time here in LA. We wish Bondy and his family all the best in their next chapter. Bondy was on $475K. And so, yeah, I mean, this opens up some flexibility for this roster. It immediately puts to bed who, is going to be the starting keeper. It looks like it's going to be J-Mac based on everything that we've seen. And you know what? An international spot for Mavinga. So, I did get to talk to the Podfather. Well, not directly, but him and I were exchanging some messages on or some tweets on the X or whatever it's called now. And I incorrectly thought that Galaxy we're going to be able to clear both their salaries off the books, almost $1 million. I think it translates to 930K, just under. I was incorrect on that, and the Podfather was nice enough to go ahead and let me know that Mavinga stays on the books because he was waived until somebody else signs him. So he's almost on 500K or whatever it is. So say TFC signs him for 400. The Galaxy are on the hook for about the other 100K. So far, what they've been able to clear in these two moves are an international spot and Bond's 475K. So again, as they come, as they go, and then they come again. So Joseph Paintsil is now in Los Angeles. One of the freshest things ever in my life that I've seen. And shout out to Galaxy Comms, photo credit LA Galaxy for this picture, who always does a lovely time putting together these announcement videos. And like I said, they announced this man with his own song, and
that's tight.
We both love the song anyway.
First time in Galaxy history. I think Kevin Acevedo replied to Josh and said, "Yep, that's that's officially the first time in Galaxy history that has happened."
That is confirmed. Yeah. So he's here. He was in training today. There was videos of him out there in training today, and so I believe it's totally possible that we see him. And another man who's also in LA, he arrived last night to LAX, where he was met by a passionate group of Galaxy fans. Gabriel Peck is in Los Angeles. Welcome to Los Angeles, G. He's dealing with some visa issues. I don't know. He just got here, so it might be a little too soon for him. But from Greg's mouth, he said that it is possible. So who knows? We'll find out a little bit more on Friday when we do have media availability after our official presentation, and we get to find out, like, hey, is he going to be available? And so. One of the things that made the Joseph Paintsil move possible was the Galaxy acquiring 2 international slots from the New England Revolution for 350K in GAM. So that's just Galaxy making moves everywhere. So where does that leave the roster? According to Corner of the Galaxy, the Podfather, the Galaxy has moved on from 15 players this offseason. So they now have 6 roster spots open and a U22 spot open. And of course, like Josh says, if Tucker makes his squad, that's only 5 spots open. And I believe based on what we've seen, he deserves to make the spot. But you still have a U22 spot open to leverage. And of course, clearing Bondy's 475K gives him a lot of flexibility. And like I said, Mavinga not off yet. So a lot of moves went down, and they will probably continue to go down, as I don't think the Galaxy are done because they've made these moves, and certainly there's a couple of roster slots open. But with the Galaxy's home opener just 3 days away, Ananda?
Oh no, I was gonna say just a last thing on that. Because we have Alex Ruiz on Lacuna Matata, right? He's a utility guy in Lacuna Matata. And he mentioned to us that, yeah, man, I think with those moves that we made, now we have, we're positioning ourselves in the summer when we need reinforcements to use an international roster slot, as well as some either TAM or that U22 initiative. I think it's all in preparation for that summer move when MLS teams reposition themselves to make that deep playoff push. So I think this is good news all around, man. This is really good. And of course, just a quick word on the guys that left. Good servants to the club. I think like Bondy, for example, he's a fan favorite. Mavinga, you hit the nail on the head, man. Like every time he made an individual mistake, never hid from it. He always responded to people on X and on Twitter, etc. So once a G, always a G, right? So thank you to both of those guys, and good servants to the club.
Yeah, I mean, you could obviously tell that Bondi loved it here. You said it last pod. I mean, somewhat erratic on occasion, but he loved playing here. You could tell he loved playing here, and Mavinga he never hid. So that's kind of what you want out of your players. I mean, we gave Bondi. Yeah, I mean, we gave Bondi defending the badge a couple times last year.
Right.
So like you said, baseline, you want players that are not going to hide. You want players that are going to want to play for the badge, and they were here for a couple years. They gave us some good memories. Of course, I remember that Bondi, when he did arrive, started hot, and then of course he got injured. And you know what? Like he even mentioned that a couple times, as being part of the reason that like he hadn't really caught a rhythm on a couple of occasions. So you know what, man. I'm gonna remember them fondly. They were both really, really nice folk in the pressers and post game. But that's a lot of room for Will to work with. There's going to be money to play with, spots to play with, and like you said, if the Galaxy find themselves midway through the season and they're struggling, there's room to go ahead and add some reinforcements. So overall, I think it was Hammer that said it's like the red wedding out here. But you know what? These moves are necessary. I mean, there can't be any sentimentalism. There needs to be just cold hard facts, and the cold hard facts last year were that it wasn't good enough.
Right.
So it is what it is.
I think I think that's good, man. And I think again, we are we talked about this a little bit coming into the season, and some of those off-season pods that we had is, the ruthlessness, right? Like, what type of ruthlessness are we going to show as an organization? Yes, these are character level guys, but at the end of the day, we're trying to win championships, right? We're trying to win silverware. We're trying to get us back to the top. So, and this is a business, right? Sports is a very cutthroat business at times. And when you need better quality and when you need to raise the floor of this team, and that's kind of how I think about it, is us trying to raise the floor of this team so that minimum, quality wise, that we are at least a playoff team, if not a top 4 team in the West. These are the types of moves that you have to make. And I think, it's going to be interesting to see what pieces Will Kuntz replaces this with, because now we have, with an injured Jalen, that makes us a little short in the center back position, in my opinion. So that's going to be interesting to see, because now we've only got our 2 starting center backs and Zabaleta, right, on the roster, with Jalen being hurt, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be interesting what pieces we replace it with, and if we need that depth moving forward.
I mean, I would be very. I mean, you got to think that they would, because they're short right there, and it's an issue they faced last year already. You got to think that they're gonna go out and get a center back, right? A source out there let me know that they are kind of shopping center backs at the moment. So, I mean, for me, it's just like, look, you got into that trouble last year. Don't get yourselves into trouble again. Go out and get a center back. I mean, don't just buy to buy, obviously, but like, what are you going to do? I mean, last year they used Leerdam a couple times as an auxiliary center back. So that's kind of a precarious position to be in, to be honest. It kind of scares me. But anyway, shout out to both of them. Once a G, always a G, like I said. And yeah, this caps off a mad dash week, and we're not even done yet. But we're now 3 days away from the Galaxy's home opener, and like I said, this is where things stand at the moment. I expect a couple more things to shake, maybe, but you know what? The reason we're all really here, words aren't enough to explain this man. You may love Messi, but I'm in love with this Argentino and Alejandro Garnacho as well. But he helped me fall in love with soccer and sport, and I grew up watching him. In fact, if you're Latino, it's a good bet you did too. He was on the flagship sports show República Deportiva for 15 years, and also anchored Univision's FIFA World Cup coverage from 1990 until 2014. During the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia, he hosted FIFA World Cup Tonight along with Kay Abdo. He's covered virtually every tournament in the U.S., from the CONCACAF Cup to the Copa America Centenario and everything in between. He's a 2-time Emmy winner. He's an author, The World Cup, the ultimate guide of the greatest sports spectacle in the world. And now he covers the Bundesliga for Fox and is the voice of Inter Miami. With a 30-year career, he is simply one of the brightest lights in sports broadcasting. Quite simply, the man knows ball. Here to help us preview the Galaxy's home opener versus Inter Miami is a legend in sports journalism and broadcasting, el presidente de la República, la nueva voz de radio en español de Inter Miami, y uno de los favoritos de mis papás, y grandes memorias con usted, Fernando Fiore. Bienvenido, Fernando. Thank you so much for being here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Vamos.
What an introduction, man. I hope I can fulfill your expectations and the people.
You already did.
This podcast.
Oh, man.
Bienvenidos, Fernando.
Bueno, le presento a mi co-host, Anandita Kirana. Y bueno, like I said, you have nothing to fulfill. I mean, your resume speaks for itself. Gracias por estar con nosotros. Y como mencioné, es vos la nueva voz de la radio en español del Inter Miami. Anoche fue una noche histórica. It was the 5th year of Inter Miami, but it was the first radio Spanish broadcast for the club. And of course, Fernando Fiore had to be involved. You were there. Tell me, how do you feel after a historic night? And of course, starting with the win.
Well, that was certainly something. And I want to thank every single person involved in this project that, it was long due and it took a lot of effort and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but we finally get it. This is the first. Last night was the first night that we did radio en español con un team preparado y siendo la radio partidista. Hubieron anteriormente relatos en español, pero no con la gente del Inter Miami, sino con radios independientes. Y last night it was the first time that that we put a show on the air. La radio es Deportes Radio 760 AM en West Palm Beach. Y bueno, obviously you can pick up all our broadcastings, around the world in TuneIn. You just look for 760 Deportes Radio, and it was a great time. And I'm in this business for over 35 years, but look, I still have goosebumps thinking about last night because this is the 5th season, as you mentioned, and I'm working with the team since the very first day, before even they have a name, before Beckham, before everything that happens in the last 6-7 years, and we were fighting in a good way. We're trying to make it in Spanish, and I was fortunate enough to work for 2.5 years in the English broadcast, and everything was, to tell you the truth, if you allow me for a few minutes,
of course,
the problem or the situation, but actually it was a problem for everybody around the world. But the situation was that our team started, unfortunately, on the wrong foot of what was happening around the world with the COVID. So our first season was 2020, and we were ready to go and rock and roll. We were ready to be doing our first match at our stadium. Everything was ready. And then the night before, pretty much, everything was canceled on March 14.
It's a Galaxy match as well, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I think Miami was slated to play the Galaxy in that match.
Now I'm trying to think of it because I have that. Yes, I think it was Miami Galaxy because the very first game, because we played 2 games away to begin the season. The first one was in LA against the other team. And then I was there. And then the second game, it was in Washington D.C. And the third game was, I think it was against the Galaxy that they were supposed to play home. And that's when everything broke loose and we lost it. So I went from, my role at that particular moment, and we were rehearsing and we having everything ready. I was going to work on TV with the local TV stations. At that time, it was no Apple TV, so we were working with CBS, the local station, and I was part of the broadcast of the TV station. But my role was to work with the fans, and it was Andre Cordero was the play-by-play, and Ray Hudson was the analyst, and then it was Kalen Kyle that it was gonna be working sidelines, and I was gonna work with the fans and with everything with the color. Unfortunately, it was no color, it was no fans. So
Right.
I didn't lose. I lost the opportunity to be working on the TV, but for me, it was a good thing in a way. See, everything happens for a reason, because I switched to radio. Because they said, well, we don't have people in the stands, we don't have color to comment, so
Right.
we like to be the third person on the radio. So I switched to radio. It was Chris Whittingham as the play-by-play, and it was Thomas Rongen, the analyst, and I was the color guy. And we have a pre-game, halftime, post-game with Orlando and Dono. So it was a good vibe, a good change, but I was waiting to do something in Spanish because, as everybody knows, in Miami we have a great Spanish population, and I wanted to be working. I was coming from working with Fox Sports in English for the last 4 years, for the previous 4 years, so I wanted to go back to work in Spanish, and I was having fun with the guys doing in English, but I wanted to do something in Spanish too. So finally, after fast forward 4 years, and then finally last night we did our first game. So I'm proud, I'm honored, I'm blessed, I'm glad, I'm thankful, and everything worked out really good.
I mean, it's a culmination of a journey, and claro, it's like you want to give something to your people, in tu lengua natal, like all those Miamians, like you said, that are out there. I mean, there's a huge Latino population out there, and it was beautiful that Inter Miami was able to reward those long-suffering fans that were, spent so many years wanting a team, and then they get a team, and then they can't go out and support their team, and then now they have arguably the team, and they started with the win. Of course, Inter Miami wins 2-0 over RSL, goals by Robert Taylor and Diego Gomez. Your stars out there, Leo Messi and Luis Suarez, each picked up an assist. ¿Cómo vio el partido así en términos futbolísticos?
Bueno, mira, se habló muchísimo durante los pasados 2 meses acerca del preseason, que no tuvimos una buena pretemporada. Esto era lógico. Ya, from last year, cuando llegó Tata Martino y después llegó Messi y Busquets y Jordi Alba, y se empezó a armar el equipo, pues era lógico de que, when we were the last team on the table, everybody was cool, and nobody cared much about Inter Miami except about the flashy, celebrities that they were in the games, and Beckham and the pink uniform, and so on and so on. But when you start to get a very good team and it's a threat for the rest of the league, then we became the most hated team in the whole league, and the haters were coming from every single corner. Why do you have Messi? How come do you have that? How come you are under the salary cap? And those things, there it's okay. The people usually like to see the games when they are the good stars on the field, but they also hate that it's not your team. So
right,
aside from the Inter Miami fans, pretty much everybody didn't like what was going on last year when we started to get the Leagues Cup, and we went into the final of the US Open Cup, and everybody was rooting for us not to get into the playoffs, and we finally didn't.
Us
Messi
too,
got
man.
injured.
Us too.
Yeah, Jordi Alba got injured, and then we finally didn't make it. So going back to the game last night, everything was so negative about the preseason, and everybody was talking about all the bad things about our team, and how come we were under the salary cap, and all the preseason that it didn't go well, and the injuries and so on. that it was a fresh air last night because the team was ready. Tata Martino put the best. He got a couple of players that are still trying to get, nagging injuries like Freire that, he played the last preseason game against Newell's, but he couldn't play, or he didn't play last night. But pretty much it was a very good first half. If you watch the game, and if not, I'm telling you, it was a very good first half. Estaban alineados, podíamos haber ido ganando fácil 3-0 porque le sacaron 2 goles cantados a Messi, uno a Suarez, otro pelotazo de Yerlin. O sea, pudimos haber estado acabado con el Real Salt Lake en la primera mitad. And then in the second half, yes, we are a mature team. And we are not old team, but we are a mature team.
I like how you said that, a mature team.
And, y bueno, y se cansaron algunos muchachos, se nublaron un poco las ideas, pero al final pudimos ganar 2-0. Fue una alegría para un estadio repleto, fue una alegría para nosotros comenzando con estas transmisiones en español, fue una alegría para, obviamente, la dirigencia, para los jugadores, y bueno, te da una muy buena vibra, ¿no? Para comenzar la liga de una manera diferente. Recordemos que nosotros, el Inter Miami, y los que estamos trabajando en el equipo y somos hinchas del equipo, hemos venido sufriendo los primeros 3 años y medio. Y entonces, cuando la cosa viene bien, pues finalmente uno realmente puede decir, bueno, esperé y ahora sí nos están yendo bien las cosas, ¿no? Ahora, acabo de leer ahora, mañana tenemos entrenamiento abierto para la prensa por la mañana y después ya se van para Los Ángeles.
Go ahead, Ananda.
I was going to say, Fernando, ¿se lo vio a Luisito cojear al terminar? ¿Qué cree que juega contra LA o...?
Bueno, no terminaron diciendo nada en firme todavía ayer. Seguramente ahora estará en reposo hoy. No sé, a lo mejor no hace full training mañana. Realmente esto es day to day. Cuando tienes jugadores que están arriba de los 35 años, es lógico que tienes que ir día a día, ¿no? Yo ayer en la conferencia de prensa, después, porque ya yo se lo venía preguntando al Tata Martino desde el año pasado en la Leagues Cup, le preguntaba ayer si me parecía que, precisamente por lo que tú dices, ¿no? De lo de Luis Suárez y que estaban algunos cansados, digo, bueno, ¿habrá algún tipo de rotación para el equipo, para el partido contra el Galaxy? Yo sé que son los primeros partidos de la temporada, están bien físicamente y todo lo demás, pero en mi punto de vista, que Martino me dijo que no iba a haber rotación, que iban a tratar de jugar los mismos, pero después se nos viene una seguidilla de partidos, incluyendo los de la CONCACAF Champions Cup también. Entonces, si a lo mejor quedó con alguna molestia, en mi opinión personal sería mejor que no hicieran este viaje cross country, jugadores que estén con algún tipo de, aunque sea minor injury o una sobrecarga muscular, que no tengan que sufrir este viaje largo y un partido exigente contra un equipo que el de ustedes, que también va a querer ganarnos como quieren todos y salir con el cuchillo entre los dientes, ¿no?
Sí, o sea, yo cuando hablé con Greg le pregunté acerca de esto, like it's for lack of a better term, it's going to be a circus out here. I mean, it's, almost 30,000 tickets sold. I mean, Alesso, an international DJ, is going to be out here, and there's going to be a bunch of stuff going on. I asked him how he deals with that, with this team, and he said it's quite simply, they need to stay locked in every single moment. So like you said, everyone's going to come for Inter Miami this year. Everyone's going to want to say, like, we beat Inter Miami. And it's interesting because the Galaxy used to be that team where people would go, we want to beat the Galaxy, right? We want to beat the
quote, cuando estaba Beckham pasaba lo mismo también. Everybody wanted to see Beckham. Everybody was going for the Beckham tour, but at the same time, everybody was hating the LA Galaxy because they were winning and winning and winning.
Right.
Así es.
Y Fernando, usted ha mencionado el tour. Yo sé que estuvo en Argentina para el partido contra Newell's, pero ¿fue el tour entero con el equipo?
No. El partido contra Newell's fue aquí, con nosotros en el Inter Miami. Fue acá en Miami.
Ah, ok, perdón.
Sí, fue el último partido del Preseason. No, No, nosotros no estuvimos, nadie, o sea, solamente fue la gente de comunicaciones, del departamento de comunicaciones del equipo, la que fue con el equipo a la gira, que empezó en El Salvador, después pasó por Dallas, después estuvo en Asia, en Arabia, Hong Kong, y terminó en Japón. No, a esa gira no fuimos ninguno de nosotros los que trabajamos en la parte de broadcasting, ¿no? De transmisiones.
Ya, y bueno, obviamente.
Es más, yo los partidos yo estaba en Europa porque aproveché, como sabía que no iba a ir a esta gira, aproveché y me fui de vacaciones antes de empezar la
Qué malo
temporada.
no me llevó.
Así que el cumpleaños de mi pareja, de Mariela, y entonces
qué bonito.
nos fuimos a Europa y desde allá vimos los partidos en París, en Londres, estábamos disfrutando por allá.
Bueno, feliz cumpleaños a su señora y
Bueno.
bueno, espero que nos acompañe acá en Los Ángeles para el partido del domingo.
No puedo ir. No, nosotros. No. En realidad, mira, la situación es la siguiente. Nuestro trabajo en lo que son las transmisiones, pues son todos los partidos de local desde nuestro estadio, obviamente, y todos los partidos de visitante lo hacemos, como se dice, off-tube, desde la tele, con la televisión, porque imagínate, recién estábamos con la transmisión en inglés y recién el año pasado, cuando llegó Messi, pudimos empezar a viajar un poco más en algunos de los partidos. Yo me fui a ver todos los partidos en vivo de la Leagues Cup, estuve como corresponsal en todos los partidos, pero solamente el equipo de transmisión completo viajó sobre el final, para la final. Entonces, realmente nosotros no viajamos con el equipo. Ocurría eso, yo me acuerdo que ocurría, no sé si todavía ocurre con algunos equipos, pero en el pasado sí, los equipos de transmisión viajaban con el equipo y relataban los partidos también de visitante desde los diferentes estadios, pero ahora, vamos a ser sinceros, hay recorte de gastos y tratando de mantener los budgets, y hay muchísimos partidos que se relatan de la televisión.
Right. Y ahora, con lo que está tan cerca el mundo con el internet y
Claro.
Zoom y todo, ahora es posible hacer esas cosas. Pero bueno, hablemos un poquito del plantel, como si usted ha dicho que es un plantel, I think you said mature, which I loved, because, you know, we have a couple of, shall we say, mature center backs ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that you also touched on was how people out there are like, how are they signing all these players? And you know, Inter Miami caught a lot of hate for the Federico Redondo signing. As you know, if you guys aren't up on this one, they paid $8 million, you know, plus to Argentinos Juniors, and you know, this is a signing which is supposed to basically rejuvenate that midfield around Busquets, kind of like him being the motor, so Busquets could be the you know, like the creative right there. Well, how do you see him fitting into this lineup?
Bueno, Federico Redondo, el hijo de Fernando Redondo, el reconocido y recordado jugador internacional que pasó por el Real Madrid, y que tuvo muchísima actuación en la selección argentina. Federico acaba de también estar en el preolímpico que clasificó a Argentina junto a Paraguay para los Olímpicos de París, y venía, a pesar de ser muy joven, venía desempeñándose muy bien en la Liga Argentina con Argentinos Juniors. Es un jugador de mucha clase. Yo creo que muy necesario a partir de lo que estamos hablando, ¿no? De las edades de jugadores como en el caso de Busquets, que están todos entre Busquets y Jordi Alba y Suarez, y bueno, todos están por encima de los 35. Entonces, hace falta también mezclarlos con jugadores como Diego Gómez, por ejemplo, el paraguayo, que ayer marcó, que es un caso interesante, y me desvío un poquito de la pregunta, porque Diego Gómez venía siendo realmente, lamentablemente, abuchado durante los partidos que jugó el año pasado al final de la temporada, cuando lo trajo Martino de Paraguay, porque no encajaba en el equipo, no daba una buena impresión en los partidos que le estaba tocando jugar. Y sin embargo fue a Paraguay, se sintió otra vez querido por su gente, rodeado de todo su país. Va a Venezuela al preolímpico y no solamente sale campeón Paraguay, sino que además es capitán del equipo y goleador del equipo de Paraguay. O sea que volvió y mira, vuelve y sigue trayendo esa fuerza que te da los buenos momentos y vuelve a convertir ayer en el partido inaugural. Entonces, esos jugadores como Diego Gómez, como el caso de Federico Redondo, que lo vamos a ver supuestamente muy pronto también en la alineación, son los que hacen el balance entre los jugadores maduros que tenemos también, que todavía tienen mucha clase. Mira, vamos a hacer una cosa. Si te fijas el partido de ayer, Messi con sus 36 años, hasta el minuto 85 estaba corriendo más de 3/4 de cancha y llevándose a la rastra a jugadores mucho más jóvenes que los iban marcando. O sea, que ha perdido esa explosión que tenía en su juventud, es obvio. O sea, no puede seguir, no puede tirar la pelota para adelante y salir corriendo y que no lo alcancen. O sea, pero tiene todavía, a Messi le queda bastante cuerda porque se ve que sabemos que es un jugador que se ha cuidado toda su vida, que no ha tenido esas lesiones tan graves de quedarse afuera por una temporada o demás. Toco madera, que no ocurra. Y entonces, claro, bueno, que ese es el caso, por ejemplo, que perdimos un gran jugador en nuestro equipo, que es Facundo Farías, que era un jugador que estaba llamado a hacer este año la gran diferencia. Ese jugador proveniente de Colón de Santa Fe, que ya venía de una lesión grave anteriormente y que había sido tratado de comprar por River y por Boca y al final se lesionó y no lo pudo hacer, ese jugador, contrariamente a Diego Gómez, se adaptó mucho mejor al equipo el año pasado. Y aunque era muy joven y le tocó jugar muchos partidos, demostró que sí estaba listo para jugar junto a Messi, a Busquets, a Alba, a Taylor y a todos los demás. Sin embargo, fatalidad. Primer partido de pretemporada, solito se dobla, tiene una lesión gravísima que se va a perder prácticamente toda la temporada.
Bueno, que entonces, se mejore rápido.
Sí, este jugador sí le teníamos mucha fe que este año iba a poder complementar muy bien el equipo y ser una gran rueda de auxilio, o ser titular en muchos partidos también. Cuestión que ahora le abre las puertas, por ejemplo, a un Diego Gómez para estar jugando como jugó ayer, en lo que fue un equipo realmente bien balanceado, que como te digo, en el segundo tiempo se cayó, pero al final retomó también sobre los últimos 10 minutos del partido, retomó otra vez esas ganas. Y a mí me sorprende ver a Messi corriendo 40, 50, 60 metros y que no lo puedan parar. Y bueno, y al final una combinación con Suarez y con Gómez para terminar el 2-0.
No, impresionante, como usted dijo. O sea, Messi tiene todavía no tiene una explosividad, como usted dijo, pero hubo como un cambio de velocidad que hizo en el segundo tiempo, que dije, qué bestia, todavía puede ser man, qué bestia, y no lo pueden parar. Y bueno, Ananda, querías decir algo, ¿no?
Sí, bueno, Fernando, ya lo sabemos que tienes que ir en prontito, entonces we only have a couple questions left. Pero I just want to switch gears for a second and talk about a little bit about the Galaxy. You know, I was interested as an outsider looking into, you know, la situación del Galaxy. ¿Qué opinas usted sobre el Galaxy esta temporada? Es que tenemos muchos cambios, ¿no? Dentro y fuera de la cancha. Tenemos 2 DPs nuevos. Did we lose him? Let's bring him back here. 1 second. Fernando? Okay. We just lost you there for a second. Okay.
Lo perdimos un momentito. Bueno, sí. Ananda le contaba sobre los cambios. Go ahead.
Sí. Bueno. Sí.
Yo en realidad básicamente quisiera que me cuenten ustedes cómo lo ven, porque nosotros desde acá, obviamente, como no tenemos la oportunidad de jugar tantos partidos con el Galaxy durante la temporada, estamos más concentrados en el equipo. Obviamente que lo que está pasando con el Galaxy ocurre con muchos equipos también, que de repente necesitan ese recambio para poder ver cómo se afianzan y cómo pueden salir adelante después de unos ciertos años de muy buenas campañas, ¿no? Por supuesto que yo he seguido el Galaxy desde el principio de la MLS. Lo vi jugar en innumerables ocasiones. Estuve en el viejo Home Depot allá en Carson y por supuesto más adelante también hicimos muchísimas programas de República Deportiva desde allá también. Y es un equipo, como bien decíamos antes, ¿no? Que cuando hizo cosas como traer, por ejemplo, a Beckham, como tener un equipazo con Landon Donovan, con un montón de estrellas en la cancha en aquel momento, con Carlos Pavón, también mi amigo el hondureño, y realmente un equipo poderoso que ganaba y ganaba. Cuando viene la época de, como decimos, de las vacas flacas, entonces hay que tratar de reestructurar y salir adelante. Cuéntenme ustedes un poco qué podemos esperar nosotros para este partido del domingo, o cómo ven esa alineación titular que pueda frenar a este Inter Miami, que, bueno, la ventaja obviamente para ustedes es que jugamos en 3 semanas, que es un viaje largo y que nuestros jugadores son bastante maduros y que hay que ver cómo terminaron el partido de ayer para poder estar de nuevo en la cancha del domingo.
Bueno, sí, well, I'm going to pass it to you later, Rob, but es muy interesante esta pregunta porque, Fernando, acabas de decir en este show que tenemos 15 cambios desde el equipo pasado. Entonces, hay mucho turnover. Entonces, bueno, la respuesta es, tampoco sabemos tanto, pero lo que hemos visto todavía en el preseason, porque Roberto y yo fuimos a Coachella Valley Invitational, al pretemporada,
Claro, yo no vi ninguno de esos partidos. Lo tengo que admitir que no.
You didn't need to. You didn't miss much.
Yeah, you didn't miss much. Pero lo que sabemos es, tenemos un equipo joven, pero claro, con 2 centrales mature, como has dicho tú. And there's definitely a lot more optimism and hope around the team this year, porque todas las cosas que está ocurriendo fuera de la cancha. Entonces, bueno, entre los aficionados, digo yo que tenemos mucha esperanza este año y tenemos un general manager, Will Kuntz, que sabe lo que está haciendo. Es una historia muy diferente, totalmente diferente que lo que ha ocurrido en the last 10 years, basically. So from that sense, I think, we have a lot of optimism. We just brought in 2 young DPs. I don't know if they're going to start this Sunday, but that's a huge switch, and that's a difference in strategy than what we had before, which is estrellas, o sea, la gente que tiene, jugadores que tiene 29, 30 y pico años, son estrellas en su liga, pero ahora we're changing the strategy a little bit, so it's going to be interesting, man, but yeah, I think tenemos mucha esperanza entre los aficionados.
Yo me acuerdo el año pasado que estuve, si no me equivoco, contra quién ha sido un partido que fui al estadio, que me tocó estar en Los Ángeles justo y jugaba el Galaxy en casa. Y a mí siempre me había gustado Riqui Puig cuando jugaba en el Barcelona. Y lo vi de nuevo el año pasado jugando y digo, la verdad que tiene algo distinto, ¿no? Este jugador. Pero también al mismo tiempo veía el año pasado, mismo igual, que no tenía un gran enlace con el resto del equipo, ¿no? No lo veía de una manera que pudieran utilizarlo para beneficio del equipo. No sé cómo estará para este año.
Bueno, le respondo a las 2 preguntas. Y la segunda primero. El año pasado nos cayó varias lesiones, o por ejemplo, Gassan Brugman, que es el CDM, el holding midfielder que se dice, y es muy bueno, o sea, el man, o sea, regularly among the best performers in ball breaking passes in the final third.
Passes.
Yeah, line breaking passes in the final third. So a lot of injuries hit. Plus, of course, there was a massive fan boycott last year that at the beginning of the year, hit the Galaxy. And as much as they wanted to say that they weren't affected by it, they absolutely were. So, but what a difference a year makes because of what happened last year with the performance on the field, and because of the boycott. That brought about necessary changes, and now we get to a summer where, like Ananda said, we have a new GM that knows what he's doing, is buying intelligently, is going into negotiations and flexing his muscle, because the Galaxy does have money to spend, and they were able to bring in 2 DPs and a new experienced right back from the J League in Japan. All told, they've spent around 22-23 million dollars just on those 3 players. So they've made a massive investment in the team. Like Ananda said, there's 15 players that have left the team, including our starting goalkeeper that they just parted ways with today. That literally dropped today. So I mean, the sense of optimism. Yeah, Jonathan Bond. Exactly. Jonathan Bond, number 007. But he he was part of a back line that gave up 67 goals last year. Yeah. And so, when that happens, change needs to happen, and they're doing that change right now. But like Ananda said, we don't know how it's going to end up, because we do have 2 aging center backs. We have a lot of turnover. We have 2 new DPs who might not be ready for the opening game. And so it's kind of remains to be seen. I keep telling everybody who asks me, like, hey, how do you think the Galaxy are going to do? I keep telling them, ask me after a month. After a month, I'll get to see how they play.
Just you see, in our case, I was like I mentioned before, I was happily surprised because everything was very much negative towards our team, and we were joking around here, with all my colleagues and people that we covered the team for so long, and we were talking about, they purposely didn't perform really well in the preseason because they want to surprise everyone and play good when it counts. We all know that preseasons sometimes are. I wouldn't like to say meaningless, because usually it's when you get your team together and so on. But at the same time, they're not as meaningful as the people who try to make it up, because it's something that you prepare, that you try new things, that usually you get new players, that that they change strategies, and it happens to pretty much every single team, except the ones that, for example, Columbus or Cincinnati or the ones that they already built up during the last season. They win trophies, and they have a core of players that they didn't change much. But usually, if you didn't have a stellar year the previous year, then the preseason is the time to adjust, to make the adjustments, and to see what's going on, and know the moment that you show all your weapons and show everything, so everybody can see and be prepared for you. Like I said, last night we were pleasantly surprised, and I hope that we can keep going into that momentum and play well. But again, this is a very long season. As you know, there are gonna be many games and tournaments, and for us specifically, all the players that go into international duty, Copa America, the Olympics, the elimination, the qualies for the World Cup in 2026. So it's a lot of traveling, a lot of games for a lot of our players. So we'll see what happens.
So, Don Fernando, we know that you got to get out of here really soon. So I only have a couple more questions for you.
Okay,
and
go ahead.
This the one and only time that the Galaxy have played in Miami, they ended up winning 3-2. Goals that day, 2 of them from Chicha and 1 from Sacha Kljestan, 1 from Robbie Robinson and El Pipita Higuain, and of course
I remember that game.
Yeah,
I remember that game. That was in the beginning of the season last year.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And so much has changed since then. Obviously, I mean, for you guys, for us, but
pardon, correct me if I'm wrong. Was the second game, no, the third game or fourth game of the season, right? It wasn't the very beginning of the season last year.
You caught me unawares on that one. I don't know.
No. I can't remember neither exactly, but I remember it was in the beginning of the season, and it was a good game back and forth. But go ahead with your question.
Yeah. So in that match, obviously, we have, players all over the field that scored that aren't with these teams anymore. And just like Diego Gomez was a man of the match against RSL, who do you think needs to step up aside from the big four obviously Messi, Busquets, Alba, Suarez. Aside from them, who do you think needs to step up in the next match against Los Angeles for Miami to be successful?
If I will tell you that, you might go ahead and tell your coach and
I won't tell him.
No. This is something that one of the players. There were two players that they get their level much higher when Messi showed up last year, and one was Joseph Martinez, which is no longer with us, and the other one was Robert Taylor, the Finnish international that he was somehow in sync with Messi very well in the first game. And then he went down at the end of the season, but then yesterday again he benefited from a very nice nice assist from Messi. The goalkeeper McMath, I think he was responsible, we'll say 70% for that goal, because it was an easy goal. It wasn't a very hard shot on anything. But again, I think that Robert Taylor, if he gets the form that he was getting when Messi first arrived in the team, that could be a very, very, very good for the team. Because although Luis Suarez, like we were just mentioned, he mentioned it already. He said that he was during the whole last year in Brazil, he was getting shots in his knees because it was very painful to play like that. But still, he got a stellar year last year in Brazil. So if he plays half and he scores half of the goals he scored last year in Brazil, it's going to be very good for us here in Inter Miami. But I would say that a player that is benefiting because everybody knows Luis Suarez and pay attention more to an international and very well, scorer from so many years. But I think that Taylor is a player that they can make a difference if he gets again the same kind of level of playing that he got when Messi arrived last year.
I agree, Robert.
Is there anybody on the Galaxy? Oh no, of course, Taylor and Messi linked up countless times last year.
Yeah.
Is there anybody on the Galaxy that you're kind of afraid of, or you think, hey, if this guy goes off, it's curtains for us?
Well, like you mentioned, I would like to see first the team on the pitch to assess, because there are so many changes, and if you still would have a Chicharito, I would say even when Chicharito is not playing good, he's dangerous. And you mentioned Bond. I saw him play. I know he was part of a failure in terms of receiving goals last year, but he was a good goalkeeper in my opinion. And in terms of us, I think that we have to take care of those lapses in defense that we have, and any one of you guys can take advantage. Si miras el partido de anoche en el segundo tiempo, y lo dijo el Tata Martino en la conferencia de prensa después, hubo muchas salidas equivocadas, a pesar de que en el primer tiempo nuestros dos centrales, Christoph y Avilés, habían jugado bien, habían jugado de forma aplomada, de forma relativamente segura y sin mayores aprietos. Sin embargo, en la segunda mitad cometieron varios errores. Calendar, que es un arquero de selección ahora en Estados Unidos y demás, también cometió un par de errores que pudieron haber sido fatales, pero también, si te fijas en la mitad del segundo tiempo, cuando todavía estábamos 1-0, saca un cabezazo sobre la línea que la manda por encima del travesaño, que fue espectacular. Y ese tipo de atajadas son las que hacen que un arquero te salve partidos, ¿no? Cuando realmente se lo necesita. Entonces, más bien, lo que me preocupa a mí es ver qué tipo de defensa nuestra va a salir el domingo para contrarrestar que un equipo que esté un poquito más aceitado que lo que estuvo el Real Salt Lake ayer nos pueda hacer daño.
I'm worried about our defense as well, so we share that going into the game. We're both worried about our defenses. Y bueno, al grano, I know Ananda has been burning to ask you this one already, so go ahead, Ananda.
Well, guys, prediction time, right? We can't let Fernando go before we get a prediction, right?
Le vamos a ganar 2-0.
Mira.
Así, rapidito.
Con
another 2-0.
With conviction. Wow.
Another 2-0.
Wow.
Which hands the Galaxy an opening day loss. But Ananda, what do you think? What's this scoreline going to be? You're the stats guy, so
I'm the stats guy. You know, I'm the I
I
analyze. You know, the one thing that's tactically that's going to be interesting in this game is Robert. You know, Greg Vanney is a possession-based coach, right? He likes possession.
Bueno,
you've got
se cortó ahora sus predicciones, así que me quedo con la mía entonces.
Pero bueno, you have a team on the other side that has all these guys that you know loves the ball, loves possession. So the question is, and they can keep the ball. So the question is Vanney going to let go of his principles and play on the counter, or are we going to play possession ball? Right. So that's gonna be an interesting part. Look, I think in the end, I'm gonna do a head and heart pick. I'm gonna cheat like I always do, Robert. I always cheat, right?
Always.
So yeah. So my head says probably, honestly, an Inter Miami win. I think narrow win, like 2-1, something like that. I think my heart is going to say the reverse. So a 2-1 Galaxy win. And again, to your point, Fernando, I don't know what defense for us is going to show up either, because we've seen at times this preseason, the last game we kept a 2-0 clean sheet with our starting back four in place. But before that, I think we gave up 11 goals in 3 preseason matches. Again, we can't read too much into preseason, pero habits are habits, right? And so defense is a mentality, it's a mindset, and we have to ingrain that as much as possible. So, you know, hopefully Martín Cáceres, un compatriota de Luisito, hopefully he has some tricks up his sleeve, and you know, he can because it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very difficult. But yeah, I think that's the interesting part for me, man. Like, what are we going to do tactically? What's Vanney up to? So
I'm quite simply not giving a scoreline, but I'm saying there's a Galaxy win, but a Messi golazo. And then you know, everybody goes home happy at the stadium because they got to see a Galaxy win, but they got to see a Messi golazo. Of course, you know, if you're a Miami fan and you're in the stadium, you won't go home happy. But I think best case scenario for fans in LA is a Galaxy win, but they get to see Messi ball out and do his thing. And of course,
well, we'll see.
Of course, a good game of football. But Don Fernando, El Presidente, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for joining us on this podcast, this humble little podcast. And please, whenever you want to, open invitation. And God, I hope we see you in LA soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for your time. And you guys, please check out El Presidente. Ya nos dijo que es la nueva voz en español de Inter Miami. Please tell us one more time where we can go ahead and check out you on the radio and calling those Inter Miami matches.
Yeah, you can download if you are a Messi fan. For all the Messi fans in the West Coast, if you are a Messi fan and you don't have your season pass with MLS with Apple, but if you want to hear us en español, pueden bajarse la aplicación de TuneIn, que es gratis, la bajan en su teléfono o en su iPad o whatever, y ahí nos buscan por Deportes Radio 760 AM. Tenemos media hora de pregame en todos los partidos, así que para nosotros este próximo domingo estaremos con nuestra segunda transmisión, y es a partir de las 9 de la noche hora de acá, o sea, a las 5:30 hora del Pacífico, estaremos transmitiendo el pregame en Deportes Radio 760 AM. Y para todos los que me quieran seguir en el X, lo que era Twitter antes, es @Fernando Fiore, y en el Instagram es Fiore Oficial. Así que muchas gracias.
And of course, I'll be listening to you in my ear pod, and you know, I'll be at the match. But you know, for all the people that are going to be watching it, listen to Don Fernando, and you know, that way you can skip Taylor Schwellman. So you know, because Don Fernando's more fun. Pero muchísimas gracias.
Un placer, un honor.
Muchas gracias a los dos. Que pase muy bien.
My mom no se lo cree.
Y a tu familia, sí, y a tu familia, cómo no, un abrazo bien grande. Que pasen bien, que Dios los bendiga.
Muchas gracias. Adiós. There you have it,
man. That's one off my bucket list, Ananda.
There you go. Yeah,
man.
Well, now we got to get the voice of the LA Galaxy, right? Yeah, I mean, I told you in via text, like, you can't follow that up without getting Big Joe on, and you know,
I didn't cry.
There you go. I'm proud of you, Papa. I'm proud of you.
I didn't cry. Y'all, if y'all don't know me, like personally, I cry about everything. Like, dogs, dog movies, a beautiful song.
Especially dog movies.
Oh yeah, definitely dog movies. But I'm proud of myself that I didn't cry. But like Ananda said, if we ever do have this guy on the show, I most likely will cry. I mean, I grew up with Don Fernando and listening to him and watching him. One of the reasons that I'm a journalist is Joe Tutino. So you know what? Like, if he ever is on the show, I probably will cry. But you know what? I'll get over it, and so will you.
Yeah.
So anyway, man, what a nice guy, bro. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
they say never meet your heroes, and I'm here to tell you, I've met two of mine, and it's a lie. Meet them. They're wonderful.
Pero por los que está escuchando, well, those that are mostly Spanish speaking, es una buena opción a escuchar Don Fernando on the call in Spanish, right? That's a very good option there.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you know what? Back in the day, you wouldn't be able to pick up, his call because we're over here on the West Coast. Now with the internet, you can just quite simply download the app, like he said, and then go ahead and pick them up. If I ever need to, watch an Inter Miami game, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and pick up his broadcast. So thank you once again to El Presidente. Like I said, I'm just still kind of geeking out. My mom was like, no, you're not going to have him on. And like, now I could be like, I had him.
Gotcha.
And,
Got him.
Gotcha, son.
Well, we got a couple things to talk about first, right? Before we wrap it up. I know that, and it's a hard thing to kind of.
Do we have to?
Yeah,
Can I bask a little bit?
Bask in the glory.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yes, we do have a couple things to talk about, and like Don Fernando said, he's calling a Galaxy loss, a 2-0 Inter Miami win, which has the Galaxy open the season with a loss. You know what? There's a bunch of people out there that don't have any kind of faith in the Galaxy, least among them a former Galaxy player, Sacha Kljestan, this week came out and picked the Galaxy to finish 11th in the Western Conference. Not even 11th in the Supporters Shield, but 11th in the Western Conference, meaning that they'll miss the playoffs again. So he was on, and we talked about this guy. He was on Taylor Twellman's podcast, and you know what? I like our podcast more, but that's just my bias. But anyway, he was on Taylor Twellman's podcast, and he was talking that mad boo boo sow about the Galaxy. He called out the defense for being old and slow, which, to be fair, I've called out the defense too, but like, you didn't have to do him like that, blood.
I'm gonna use Don Fernando's word from now. It's mature. It's mature.
It's mature. But
Exactly.
you know what? This man got positively catty. He said the club is a 90s actor trying to make a comeback. To which my favorite retort was from C Miles, shout out C Miles, who said, "Oh, you just an aging actor that has 5 Academy Awards and has limitless budget." So
Nice.
I mean, so you know what? If it is a comeback actor, it's that Brendan Fraser, son. You know what? That George of the Jungle, that Mummy, and you know what? Just like the Mummy, the Galaxy are coming back. They're coming back from the dead, and I mean, I hope that. I mean, because we're going to break it down for you guys right now. Like I said, they caught a bunch of hate, not just from Sacha, but from all kinds of sides. So I hope that at the end of the year, we're going to be able to bring back these receipts and say, ha, son.
Right.
I was about to respond to Sacha with the snarky comment about, like Gaston and him not being available and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Like I said, I'm just going to wait and hide his receipts. Ananda, what do you think about Sacha's comments, man? Do you think any of them are fair? I mean, I know we've talked about it a couple times on this pod.
Yeah, that's hard. It's harsh, right? I think and I'm surprised it's coming from him because he's again, I haven't caught him much as a sort of media.
He's one of your locker room guys, though.
That's right. I mean, that's why it's surprising, right? Coming from him. Again, I like I told you, I don't know how he is as a media personality. I haven't really followed up on him, but I think it's harsh, right? I think it's harsh. I think maybe his like intent or where he's coming from, like I get where he's coming from, but I think his outcome is just really harsh. I was just looking at this list, man. I know he was a rival of ours, but I might be a Diego Valeri fan now. Madre mia, 4th in the West. I mean, there you go, bro. That's where we should be. But yeah, again,
Diego is one of only 2 pundits from MLS who have picked the Galaxy to finish as high as 4th. We have a couple cats there that are picking them to finish as low as 13th. Again, Sacha wasn't the lowest, but he's pretty damn near. And like you said,
Yeah.
being that he was one of the locker room guys, is there some kind of resentment there? Is there some kind of like thing that we don't know about on the back scenes for him to swing so hard?
And I'm not surprised he's getting so much flack on X or on the socials. Like, I am not surprised at all. I mean, Galaxy Twitter, we know how Galaxy Twitter is. Y'all go in hard.
Vicious.
So,
Vicious.
yep.
I'm
exactly.
not looking forward to when we mess up and they come at us. You know what? Like, when it ever happens, just know that we're just gonna like be like, they're coming at us, and you know, we apologize, and like we'll just keep it moving. But anyway, you guys went at Sacha hard, and you know what? Like, it's deserved, I think, because as a player that was here, take some of the blame for you know, the defensive lapses where they happened. You were directly part of one of you know, one of the teams that you know, had one of the worst years, you know, so you know, take responsibility as well. But like I said, he wasn't the only one. MLS.com released a power rankings to start the season, and Miami is ranked 4th, and the LA Galaxy is ranked 18th. Of course, they also released their odds here, which has the Galaxy at plus 2,500 to win MLS Cup. You know, so teams ahead of them to win MLS Cup: Orlando, Seattle, New York. A bunch of people are picking LAFC to either be into the final or win MLS Cup themselves. And you know what? I don't feel like they've made the roster moves necessary to actually do that. So I think that's a lot of reputation talking there. Matt Doyle from MLS had a 2024 season tier system where he has Inter Miami as a trophy favorite or a first tier, and LA is in the 3rd tier, titled High Upside Mystery Box. MLS
Interesting.
expert, no, I mean, like, he didn't come that hard. He basically said, you know, we don't really know. But
we are a mystery box. I kind of agree with that. We are a mystery box.
Yeah, I don't hate that high upside mystery box thing. So, you know, Doyle gets a lot of flack, but you know, I think he's on it on this one. We don't know what we don't know, and we don't know how these DPs are going to fit in. We don't know, you know, if people are going to stay healthy. We don't know if we're going to sign another center back. We don't know how the defense is going to perform. There's a bunch of stuff we don't know, which is why these are all predictions. But MLS expert predictions for the year have the Galaxy finishing 7th in the West, and of course their first opponent of the year finishing 5th in the East. The Athletic, Paul Tenorio is one of the ones who has the Galaxy finishing the highest at 4th in the West, and his colleagues have them finishing as low as 12th in the West. So Tenorio is the high man here. So you know what? I know Galaxy fans have come after Tenorio a couple times as well. Show that man some love, because you know, he's picking the Galaxy to finish 4th. But he placed Miami at 3rd, while his colleagues placed the Inter Miami as low as 7th. Tommy Bogert, who we met at the CVI, super nice guy, and Paul Tenorio, meanwhile, have picked Miami to win the whole shebang. So you know, like we were talking to Don Fernando about, you know, can Miami build on the Cup success from last year? Luis Suarez says that he wants to go out and do them one better and win an MLS Cup this year. And our friend who has been on this show before, Matt Pollard, puts the Galaxy at 10th and Inter Miami at 3rd in the East. Now, this one hurt a little bit because, you know, I know Matt Pollard, you know, he's from my hometown. I know he's covered the Galaxy for a while as well. You know, now regularly covers Colorado. But you know what? Like, he did say, bookmark it, bring him receipts later. But you know what? A lot of people seem to think that the Galaxy are going to be outside of the playoff picture again, Ananda. And I mean, I just don't see it with all the investment they've made, with the additions to the roster they've made, and the ability to add more to the roster. Do you think everyone's, again, just like they are with LAFC, you know, who's, I believe, living off reputation at this point with all these rankings? Do you think the Galaxy are living off their past couple year reputations where, you know, basically they haven't been good?
Oh, no question. No question. And you know, but it's hard for me here too to sit with like a lot of conviction saying that we're going to be a top team in the West, like given that we have 2 young DPs with, you know, great reputations and a rebuilt squad, etc.
Big reputation.
Because you know,
sorry, that's some Taylor Swift. I'm sorry.
Because I mean, we do have some trepidations about this team, right? We've talked about the defense. That's going to be a huge thing this year for sure. But I think that let's put it this way. Like, I feel like people are shortchanging us. I think we are going to be
All
better.
day.
Look, my thing is, I feel like our ceiling is a top team in the West, and I feel like our floor, I think disaster, like the worst that can happen, honestly, is probably a 9th or a 10th, just sneaking into the playoffs or just outside the playoffs, going to be one of those things. But think about this, Robert, for a second. So last year, I can't remember where I heard this, but last year in that beginning stretch, if we had just 6 more points in the first 10 games, I think we only had 3 points, if I'm not mistaken, something like that, just an abysmal record to start the season. If we only turned those into 2 more wins, we would have been a playoff team last year, right? So think about, like, is it fathomable to have that poor of a start with the team that you have now? Of course, it's not gelled together completely yet, but with everything that was going off the pitch last year, all the injuries, etc., I just can't see us starting off that terribly. I feel like worst case scenario, we're going to pick up maybe 1 or 2 more wins, and not put ourselves out of a playoff. Even with that start last year, we still had an outside shot of making the playoffs.
A
You know what I
shot,
mean?
up until
Exactly.
like the last couple of games of the season, there was a shot.
Exactly.
And like you said, they started horribly. They went on a run, and then they couldn't sustain it. But despite all that, despite a fan protest, despite all the injuries, they were super close. Like you said, 2 wins away from getting to the playoffs. So I don't think this is on the money here from all the pundits.
Yeah.
I do believe the Galaxy are a playoff team. I mean, the DPs, of course, need to bet in. They need to stay healthy. But just staying healthy will help. I mean, just
Yeah.
having a fit Gaston Brugman on the field will help. Just having
having your three DPs play at the same time helps, Robert. How about that?
What
for a
is
start?
that? What is that? That doesn't happen for the Galaxy. I mean,
Exactly.
there was very few instances last year where all 3 DPs were on the field, and so I mean, if we get to see the triple P on Sunday for the first
Watch
time, I
out.
mean, it's going down. I mean, like, people are saying, okay, like, now find a striker. I mean, I really believe that between Riqui and the wingers, they're going to create space for Dayon. They're going to get him the opportunities to get some tap-ins, get some space, and get some opportunities. He's going to get his goals. And you know what? I don't worry about the attack. Like I said many times, I worry about the defense.
But you know what, Robert? Here's the good news. If Dayon or our strikers or whoever is not cutting it, we've seen the front office say, you know what? You're not cutting it. You're not up to the quality. We'll move you on, and we'll look for other options. And so this is the beautiful thing now. It's like we're not here as fans sitting frustrated, like looking at the lack of production or lack of quality, and the front office not doing anything about it. They've shown very clearly just in the last 24, 48 hours that if you're not up to the quality for this team, we'll move you on. Right. So again, a lot of flexibility here. And this is what I love, right? If plan A fails, we have B, C, D, and F. And that's in all facets of this team, whether it's new recruits or internally as well within the team. So love it. I'm loving it.
Well, that's what it is, Galaxy fans. I mean, Don Fernando called a 2-0 win for Inter Miami. Ananda, like he likes to do, gives a head and a heart pick. I'm calling a Galaxy win. But you know what, Ananda, do you have anything else to add before we get on out of here?
Nah, man. Really just an absolute honor and pleasure, right, to have Don Fernando on. Gave us some really good insight, not only to Miami, but just sort of what he's been up to. And he's a big figure, like he's a big character around, especially along. Exactly. So it's nice to see that, he's kind of taking on a slightly different sort of path in his career, and that's beautiful to see as well. And yeah, I mean, unfortunately, so as you guys know, I am out, so I'm not going to be in the stadium. But Robert, and to all the fans, like, I want to just wish you guys a happy and safe day. It's going to be an amazing day. I know it. Hopefully the Galaxy can leave all you guys happy coming out of the stadium with a win. But I'll tell you this, man, if we start off the year with a point, I'm not going to be mad. This is a tough game. Like, let's call a spade a spade. This is going to be a tough game. And I'm interested to see how we approach this game, both on the physical side, but more importantly, mentally, as we've talked about leading up to this game.
Well, LA Galaxy fans, Lacuna Galaxians, you know what it is. We're going to bring you that match reaction on Monday night of this Inter Miami game. We're going to be doing that live. So hopefully you guys join us. You guys know where to find us on YouTube, youtube.com/@Lacuna Galaxiana. Really quick, before we go any further, since we're doing this one live, we do got to put out a disclaimer out there. We're not really tolerating any shenanigans in the chat. So, we expect you guys to be on your best behavior. Please, no gratuitous cursing, no homophobia, no racism. You guys know what good behavior means. We will block you. We're not shy about that. So we hope you guys are on your best behavior for our, what should be our first live ever show on YouTube, which is going to be that Miami reaction on Monday night. Please join us for a lead-in to Corner of the Galaxy. We'll be on at 7. Of course, they go on at 8. So hopefully you can join us for that, and please subscribe so you know when the shows are happening. Of course, the Galaxy's second game of the season next week will be on Saturday against the San Jose Earthquakes. That'll be happening at PayPal Park in San Jose. A Cali Clasico to start the first away match of the season. So they'll have a tough home match against Miami. They'll have a tough away trip, but we hope to bring you another special guest next week. We'll have some confirmation for you guys as we get it. And, hopefully you like this guest. I know a bunch of you know him and love him. Shout out Bo. I know you love him for sure. So you know what? That should hopefully give you a small hint as to who it is. But, as we go ahead and get some more info, we'll share it down for you guys. So watch out for those shows coming up. We do have that live show. We do have the preview show for San Jose next week. And of course, you guys can always find us on our socials. And yeah, we'd like to say thank you to Don Fernando, for my co-host, El Gitano Perdido, El Futuro Papá de Tobago, Ananda Kirana, and I'm Rob Halon. You guys know where to find us across all the socials. And thank you so much for listening to this pod. One thing left to say. Jesus.